The preamble is a short introduction to the Constitution, children. The idea of the preamble was borrowed from the Constitution of United States of America. The preamble helps us to understand our Constitution by pointing out the sources of the Constitution, explaining the nature of the state that the country will be governed by, stating the objectives which the Constitution aims to provide and implement. The preamble is not justiciable. Note this, children. It cannot be enforced in any court of law. It can be used only to interpret certain aspects of the Constitution. Children, in short, preamble of the Constitution mean embodies the spirit of the Constitution, a key to the Constitution, a soul of the Constitution, the most precious part of the Constitution, a jewel set in the Constitution, an idea and expression. It is a unique one, children. The preamble states that the ultimate authority lies with the people of India. People govern themselves through their elected representatives. Children, you have the preamble of the Constitution of India. Try to learn it. Now let's understand the words and their meaning in the preamble. Sovereign. The word sovereign emphasizes that India is no more dependent upon any outside authority. India is an independent country and it is not under the control of any external or internal power. No other country can interfere in India's internal matters. Socialist. The word was added to the preamble in 1976 by the 42nd Amendment Act. Its main purpose is to end inequality of income and status. It also aims to provide a decent standard of living to all. The Indian Constitution therefore aims at providing equal opportunities to all its citizens. Secularism. The term secularism means a state which has no religion of its own as recognized religion of the state. The word secular was also added to the preamble in the 42nd Amendment Act in 1976. Secularism means that the state protects all religions equally, children. There is no discrimination based on one's religion. Individuals have the freedom to profess, practice, and spread their respective religions. So, in India, children, you have the freedom to follow any religion of your interest, like Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, Islam, or Christianity. Now let's understand the terms democratic and republic, children. A government chosen by the people is called democracy. Every 5 years, general elections are held in which people vote to elect their government. Government which gets its authority from the will of the people. The rulers are elected by the people and are responsible to them. So, we choose our leaders and they are answerable to us. India became republic in 1950. We have already learned. A republic is a form of government in which the officers of the country cannot be inherited. So, inherited means, children, a CM's son, after his 5 years of tenure, his son cannot become the next CM of the state. Every Indian citizen has the right to elect in any office in the country. So you also have the right, children, to contest in the election when you become an adult. Justice. There are 3 kinds of justice, children: social, economic, and political. Let me explain you what is social justice. Social justice implies that there should be no discrimination on the basis of caste, race, gender, or religion. Economic justice implies reducing the gap between the rich and the poor. Political justice implies that all citizens should have equal opportunities to be elected or to vote irrespective of their caste, religion, gender, economic status, or education. Liberty and equality. Liberty means that every individual is free to enjoy the basic rights and to live a life of dignity. The individual rights mentioned in the preamble are freedom of thought, expression, belief, faith, and worship. All citizens are equal before law and enjoy equal protection of the law. The state does not discriminate against people on the basis of their status, caste, race, religion, or gender. So, children, rich or poor, upper caste or lower caste, Hindu or Muslim or any religion, or women or men, everyone are equal before the law. Fraternity, the spirit of brotherhood. India is a country of diversity. Fraternity, as mentioned in the preamble, stands for a sense of common brotherhood of all Indians. This feeling of brotherhood promotes unity among people. So, people in India are diverse by food, children, dressing, or language, or whatever it is, but we are all united with a single word brotherhood. Features of our constitution. India has the longest written constitution, and now let's discuss some of its features. A rigid yet flexible constitution, children. Whether a constitution is rigid or flexible depends upon the nature of amendments. Some provisions of a constitution can be amended by the parliament with simple majority. The amendments of most of other provisions of the constitution requires a special majority in both houses of the parliament. There are some more provisions of constitution which cannot be amended by the parliament alone. These different amendment procedures make our constitution partly flexible and rigid. Federal government with unitary bias. The Indian constitution has provided for a federal form of government. The responsibility of governing our country has been divided between the center and the state. Most laws made by the center are applied throughout the country. Laws made by a state are applied only within the state. So, children, in the federal system of government, the responsibility of governing our country has been divided between the central government and the state government. Parliamentary system. The constitution provides for a parliamentary system of government both at the center and in the states. The parliament is divided into two houses, the House of the People, Lok Sabha, and the Council of States, that is Rajya Sabha. The government at the center is answerable to the parliament. The government at the state level is answerable to the state legislature. Organs of government, children. Legislature makes the laws, executive implement laws, judiciary interprets laws. The legislative branch includes the parliament and the state legislatures of various states. The legislature make laws for the country, children. The executive branch includes the president, vice president, prime minister, council of ministers, and so on. The executive carries out the decisions made by the legislature. The judicial branch consists of the Supreme Court, the High Court, and the lower courts. The judiciary protects the rights of the citizens. Independent judiciary, children. Let us discuss what is it. The Supreme Court of India stands as the apex of single integrated judicial system. It acts as a protector of fundamental rights. It is the guardian of the Constitution. If any law passed by the legislature or the action taken by the executive against the provisions of the Constitution, they can be declared as null or void by the Supreme Court. This is called judicial review. Fundamental rights. The Indian Constitution guarantees certain basic rights to all its citizens. They are known as fundamental rights. The fundamental rights are defined as the basic human rights of all citizens. These rights defined in Part 3 of our Constitution, applied irrespective of race, place of birth, religion, caste, creed or sex. The 6 fundamental rights are right to equality, Articles 14 to 18, right to freedom, Articles 19 to 22, right against exploitation, Articles 23 and 24, right to freedom of religion, Articles 25 to 28, cultural and educational rights, Articles 29 and 30, right to constitutional remedies, Articles 32 to 35. Right to equality. All citizens are equal before law. The government shall not discriminate against any individual on the grounds of religion, race, caste, gender or place of birth. Right to freedom. Our Constitution guarantees certain freedoms to all its citizens. They include freedom of speech and expression, freedom to assemble peacefully in large numbers, freedom to form associations for peaceful purposes, freedom to move freely throughout the country, freedom to reside in any part of the country, freedom to practice any profession and carry on any occupation, trade or business. Right against exploitation. This right protects the interest of women and children. It does not allow children below the age of 14 to be employed. It also forbids forced labor. Right to freedom of religion. Our constitution defines our country as a secular state. Thus, all Indians have the freedom to practice, spread, and promote their respective religions. Cultural and educational rights. Our constitution states that everyone has the right to develop and preserve their culture. People belonging to different communities also have right to establish their educational institutions. Right to constitutional remedies. This right safeguards our fundamental rights. If the government, a group, or an individual violates any of our fundamental rights, we can file a case in the courts. The High Courts and the Supreme Court have the power to set aside any order or law which violates the fundamental rights of a citizen. While these six fundamental rights have been guaranteed by our Constitution, they are not unconditional. In times of emergencies such as wars or internal disturbances, the President can take away all these rights temporarily to maintain national security. Along with fundamental rights, we have also fundamental duties to be followed. Our Constitution lists 11 fundamental duties for the citizens to fulfill. They are respecting public property, protecting our country, following the noble ideas of secularism, non-violence and democracy, loyalty towards our country, developing a scientific attitude, preserving our cultural heritage, making a better society, promoting harmony and brotherhood, preserving and improving our natural environment, respecting our national symbols, providing opportunities for education to children between the age of 6 and 14 years. Directive principles of the state policy are in Part 4 of our Indian Constitution. These principles are guidelines to the government to implement them for establishing social and economic democracy in the country. Most of these principles could help in making India a welfare state. They are not justiciable. You will be learning more about the direct principles of state policy in lesson 13. Single citizenship. Citizenship gives people certain rights and responsibilities. In India, there is single citizenship. People born to the citizens of India are citizens of the nation and not of the state. If a person belonging to any other country wishes to acquire Indian citizenship, he or she can do by fulfilling certain conditions. Universal adult franchise. Democracy is incomplete without universal adult franchise. This means that all adult citizens are entitled to elect their representatives to the government. Every citizen of India who is 18 years of age or above has the right to vote irrespective of caste, religion, status or gender.